Hi, Gary here. Vanquishing entropy. Entropy is the second law of thermodynamics. And in layman's term, it just means everything just falls to pieces and goes back to disorder. And that's just what happens. And so, there's the old joke in Chicago, there's two seasons, winter and construction. And as soon as the winter season's over, the potholes assault you, and you're shoveling the driveway, and you're washing the car, and you're cleaning the dishes, and you're taking the laundry, and it happens all over again. And then these things recur over and over again. Those at the tangible level. Then there's the intangible stuff. What's that all about? Well, now you got email and text and Flickr and Tumblr and Facebook, and I can go on and on. But then you get into things like Wi-Fi and 4G and 3G and Siri and maps and apps and all sorts of other things. And we're dealing with just this phenomenal amount of intangible stuff that's assaulted us from all sides. And this is not to mention all of the other stuff in stocks and bonds, exchange-traded funds, and your tax returns and your legal documents and your insurance policies and everything else. It's enough to drive one crazy. It can be very chaotic. And what we're finding is people are becoming physically, mentally, and emotionally ill over this stuff. This has been a growing trend over the last several years of meditation. The likes of Oprah and Ev Williams and Ariana Huffington and Tim Ferriss, and recently Anderson Cooper had a 60-minute segment on mindfulness training at corporations to get people to do more of this meditation kind of stuff. So we're really getting assaulted on all sides by this. And we need some way to perform some triage, some way to make it easier for us to handle these things, to bring more focus back into our life. And how do we do that? So I have a couple of things for your consideration in this particular area. The first one I want to start with is Tim Ferriss. Mentioned him earlier. Now, he wrote a book called The 4-Hour Work Week. It sounds crazy, but he did find out statistically that 80% of our productivity comes from 20% of our time. Now, if you really think about that, you're wasting the other 80% of your time. But he has another little phrase he uses to make sure he's doing the things he wants to do. He's maintaining the freedoms that he wants to maintain. And he says it's this: when faced with a new opportunity, new thing that's going to be put into his life, make a commitment to, it's either no or hell yes. There is no yes. And what that means is he's got to be really excited, motivated, and want to do something, or else it's a no. And what's I've been able to have him do, and I've taken this on myself, is really focus on the things that are most important to him and where he's going, where he can bring value to the world. And he's not the only one doing this. A lot of folks have started to really say no to all these things that are coming at us at 100 miles an hour. I think it's a really important thing. And then there's John Paul DiGiorio, the billionaire founder of the line of hair products, and he has no email. And I know several other people like him that don't have email. Well, what do? Well, they have assistants that take their email. But what they have found is it wastes so much of their time, or they observe this, that they've gotten rid of or not even taken on email, so they can focus on what's most important. And it's really made a big difference for them. Another area that I've seen, we've got these smartphones, and they're everywhere, and your smart tablets and everything else. Well, they're now, business owners I know have two phones. They have a smartphone for work, and they have a smartphone for home or free time or vacation time, whatever we want to call it. What's so important about this is they take their business phone and they just turn it off on weekends or when they're on vacation. And they only have their private, personal phone that only certain people have that number. And they're able to disconnect from all of that noise. I know people that wake up with before they get out of bed, they grab their smartphone to check their email, their text, and everything else, and then they get tucked into bed at night with the same thing. I mean, it gets to be pretty crazy. If you think about it, it's controlling us. Another business owner I know has a thing he calls his not now list. And actually, next to his desk, there's a whiteboard, and up there it says not now. And you see a list of stuff on there, and you ask him about it, and he says, well, when someone comes in and he says, this is really important, and he's focused on what he believes to be important for his company, his life, everything else, he hasn't placed it on the not now list And if it comes up and eventually gets there, then they get to it. But it allows him to focus so clearly on what's going on. Now, you probably have had some tricks out there yourself that you've used to be able to stay completely focused on what you want to do, what you need to do, and also you get clear about what the freedoms you want to retain. So this world of entropy that's with us all the time, it just makes us, go down to complete disorder, can come to some more order by putting some boundaries around all of this to make it a little simpler for us to deal, especially with the intangible areas. Things are just really hard to deal with. I find that if we don't take control over it, it takes control over us, and it's not a fun ride. I've been there, backed off again, and gotten to where I need to be. So I hope this helps. So until next time, enjoy.